The sun was just beginning to rise over the fields, painting streaks of gold and orange across the horizon, when life once again reminded Arvind Sharma how cruel it could be. His hands, blistered and cracked from years of tilling the soil, trembled as he adjusted the old plow pulled by his only ox. The land he worked on had been in his family for 3 generations, yet it now barely provided enough grain to feed him. Debt collectors had been circling like vultures for months, and he knew it was only a matter of time before they took what little he had left. His wife had passed away years earlier, leaving him alone with fading memories and acres of land that felt heavier with each season. Arvind's life was quiet, hard, and desperately lonely, but he carried on, not because he believed in miracles, but because he had no other choice. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories where ordinary people can change lives in extraordinary ways, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Journal. Your support helps us keep telling stories that touch the heart. That same morning, as Arvind pushed through his routine, something unusual caught his attention at the edge of the dusty road that cut through his village. A sleek black car stood motionless, its hood open, smoke rising faintly. Beside it, a young woman in her early 20s paced in frustration, her polished heels sinking into the dirt, her phone held high as if trying to catch a signal that wasn't there. She looked out of place. Her city clothes, manicured nails, and expensive handbag didn't belong in this rural corner of the world. Her name was Sahana, though Arvind didn't know it yet. What he did know, from one glance, was that she was in trouble. He hesitated. City people rarely spoke kindly to villagers. He had once been insulted when he tried to help a traveler years ago, and the memory stung. But kindness was something he could not suppress, no matter how hard life had made him. So, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his hand, he walked over, his worn slippers crunching against the gravel. "Car trouble?" he asked softly, his voice carrying the weight of a man unused to being heard. Sahana turned, relief flashing across her face for a split second before being replaced by hesitation. She wasn't sure if she should trust a stranger in such a remote place. But she didn't have many options. "Yes, it just stopped. And my phone isn't working here," she said, trying to mask her worry. Arvind bent over the car, his hands instinctively moving with knowledge that came not from training, but from years of repairing broken tools and machinery on his farm. The engine coughed, rattled, then fell silent. He tried again, adjusting wires, checking the battery, tapping gently in places where he sensed life still lingered. Finally, with one strong turn of the ignition, the car roared to life. Sahana gasped, her face lighting up like the morning sun. She clapped her hands together in disbelief.
"Oh my God, you fixed it!"
Arvind stepped back, wiping grease on his already tattered kurta, shrugging off her gratitude with humility. "Just a small problem," he murmured. He was ready to return to his field, but something about her eyes, bright yet carrying a loneliness of their own, made him pause. Sahana insisted on offering him money. She pulled out crisp notes from her wallet, but Arvind shook his head firmly. "No, Betty, you don't need to pay me. Just, if you ever get the chance, help someone else." She looked at him curiously. No one in her world spoke like that. She was the daughter of Vikrant Malhotra, a powerful business tycoon who owned hotels, factories, and land across the country. In the city, she was used to seeing people bow, flatter, and demand money. Here was a man who had given her more than mechanics ever could, a reminder that kindness still existed, unmeasured by wealth. She wanted to ask his name, his story, but his eyes were already drifting back to the parched fields that seemed to call him home. The day passed, but something in Sahana's heart remained unsettled. That night, instead of returning directly to the city, she stayed at a nearby rest house. Through the window, she saw the outline of Arvind's small hut in the distance, dim light flickering from an oil lamp inside. She wondered how a man who clearly struggled could still give so freely. The next morning, curiosity pulled her back. She parked her car near his field and approached, ignoring the strange looks of villagers. Arvind was bent low, guiding his ox slowly across the dry earth. Sweat trickled down his forehead, his frame lean from years of labor. She called out. He looked up, startled. She walked closer, her shoes now covered in dust, her perfume overtaken by the smell of soil and sun. That was when Sahana saw the truth of his life. His roof was patched with tin sheets, his kitchen barely had enough to cook a simple meal, and yet a small clay lamp burned in front of a picture of his late wife. On a wooden shelf rested old schoolbooks, now yellow with time, dreams, perhaps of an education Arvind never got to complete. Her chest tightened. In her world she had everything, yet she often felt empty. Here was a man with nothing, yet he carried himself with quiet dignity. "Why do you work so hard?" she asked, her voice trembling without her meaning to. Arvind smiled faintly. "Because the land doesn't stop asking, and because if I give up, everything my father and grandfather worked for will disappear." As days passed, Sahana kept visiting. Sometimes she brought food, sometimes just questions. Arvind was wary at first, but her presence began to soften the heavy silence of his life. She asked about farming, about the seasons, about how he survived so long with so little. He told her of his debts, of the droughts, of how he once dreamed of studying beyond school, but life had tied him to the soil. Each word carried pain, yet also resilience. Sahana listened, and with each story her respect for him deepened. She had spent her life surrounded by money and power, but never had she seen such strength and simplicity. One afternoon, as the sun beat down mercilessly, Arvind collapsed in his field. The burden of hunger and exhaustion finally overcame him. Villagers rushed, but it was Sahana who knelt beside him, cradling his head, her eyes brimming with tears. She arranged for a doctor, stayed by his side until he opened his weary eyes again. In that moment, Arvind saw not just a city girl, but someone who cared deeply. His lips trembled as he whispered, "You shouldn't waste your time here." But Sahana shook her head fiercely. "No, I think maybe this is exactly where I was meant to be." What Arvind didn't know was that Sahana had a choice. She could return to her father's empire, or she could change his fate. She went back to the city briefly, meeting her father at his towering office. Vikrant Malhotra was not a man easily swayed. Yet when Sahana told him of Arvind's honesty, his kindness, and his desperate struggle, something in the old tycoon stirred. He remembered his own father, who had once been a farmer before fortune changed their family's destiny. For the first time, Sahana saw her father's eyes soften. Within weeks, Vikrant's company funded irrigation systems, cleared Arvind's debts, and set up programs to support struggling farmers across the district. Arvind's barren field slowly turned green again, and his hut was repaired into a proper home. When Arvind learned the truth, that the girl he helped on the roadside was the daughter of one of the most powerful men in the country, he was speechless. His heart pounded as Sahana stood before him, smiling through tears. "You asked me not to pay you," she said gently, "but I couldn't just walk away. I didn't repay you with money, Arvind G. I repaid you with what you gave me, hope." For the first time in years, tears rolled down Arvind's weathered face, not from sorrow but from gratitude. He realized that a single act of kindness had not only saved a stranded girl, but had transformed his life, and perhaps the lives of countless other farmers like him. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder of hope, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every click helps us spread more stories of compassion and second chances. And before you go, we'd love to hear from you. Would you have stopped to help that stranded car on the roadside, just like Arvind did? Comment below. We read every single one. Arvind's fields today sway with golden crops, a living testament to the truth that even the smallest gesture of kindness can set into motion miracles we never expect.